one thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean shit.
That's great, but what's the one thing?
Interesting facts about famous people.
Western character actors who became lead actors. Okay, so before we get into this one, I want to be clear. Virtually no actor stepped off the bus and became a lead actor overnight. They all had to go through some lean times and play B-movie roles. Even John Wayne and Clint Eastwood did their apprenticeship in the coal mines of movie studios. Today, I'm looking at those actors who had established support or character careers in westerns who eventually were able to make the transition to the big stage. Some did very well, some not so much, but we love them all. I think you will get the idea as we get into this video. No, this isn't a complete list. I'm sure you will mention many more in the comments. I look forward to your input. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Let's get into it in no particular order. Bruce Dern. Two-time Oscar nominee, Bruce Dern's tremendous career is made up of playing both modern-day heroes and legendary villains. Through decades of lauded performances, Dern has acquired the reputation of being one of the most talented and prolific actors of his generation. In his first Western appearance, an episode of Wagon Train, 1957, in 1963, he played a character who was shot and killed. His character was also shot and killed in the Western The Hateful Eight, 2015, 52 years later. With a strong start in the genre, Dern appeared in The Hatfields and McCoys, Waterhole No. 3, and Will Penny in 1967, then Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood, and Support Your Local Sheriff in 1969. He is one of the few actors to have killed John Wayne on screen, The Cowboys, 1972. He even received some death threats for that. Jack Nicholson coined the term a Dernsy for unscripted improvisations, either dialogue or behavioural quirks that Bruce would come up with while filming. He is one of two actors to appear in movies directed by Alfred Hitchcock and Quentin Tarantino. Rod Taylor is the other. Jack Palance. A great start with Shane and Arrowhead in 1953. 1966, The Professionals. 1969, The Desperados. 1970, Monty Walsh. Compañeros. The McMasters. 1972, Chato's Land. Sting of the West. In 1991, appearing in City Slickers, winning an Academy Award for Strangely, a supporting role. His last Western role. A long and distinguished career as a tough guy who you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley.
That's what you gotta figure out.
Lee Van Cleef. In 1952, with High Noon and Untamed Frontier, Van Cleef had his foot in the door. A great example of one of those actors that worked hard for many years trying to get his break, nearly giving up many times. It wasn't until 1965, with a few dollars more, that he got his break. 1966, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. 1967, The Big Gun Down. Death Rides a Horse. Day of Anger. 1972, The Grand Duel. 1975, Take a Hard Ride. It was thanks to a new Western genre that he was able to break through to lead roles, the spaghetti Western. Richard Boone, getting a start in The Return of the Texan as Rod Murray, Way of a Goncho and Kangaroo, 1952. culminating in The Shootist, 1976, along with John Wayne in Wayne's final Western role. His great-great-great-great-grandfather, George Boone, was a brother of pioneers Daniel Boone and Squire Boone. He was cast in the role of Old Lodgeskins in Little Big Man, 1970, but real Native American Chief Dan George ended up playing the part. In her 2004 autobiography, "'Tis Herself", Maureen O'Hara wrote that Boone and Peter Lawford, while filming Kangaroo, 1952, in Melbourne, Australia, were arrested in a gay brothel full of beautiful boys, but the studio prevented this from being reported by the press. A star of the big and small screen, both as a good and bad guy. Ernest Borgnine, first Western in 1953, The Stranger Wore a Gun, Vera Cruz, 1954, Bad Day at Black Rock, The Last Command, 1955, and many more. One of the actors who worked until his death in his 90s. 2003, The Long Ride Home. He certainly had a long ride, longer than most. In 2007, he became the first male Oscar winner for Best Actor to still be alive on his 90th birthday, and in 2012 became the first male Oscar winner for Best Actor to still be alive and working on his 95th birthday. While on location in Mexico, filming Vera Cruz, 1954, he and fellow cast member Charles Bronson found themselves with some extra time on their hands and decided to go into the nearest town to get some cigarettes, still in full costume, including bandoleras and pistols. They mounted their horses and headed out. Along the way they were spotted by a truck full of Mexican federales, federal police, who mistook them for bandits and held them at gunpoint until their identities could be verified. Eli Wallach. One of his most known for roles was in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, The Misfits, 1961, and How the West Was Won, 1962. Had a solid start in the genre, an icon of the spaghetti western genre. Had appeared with Marilyn Monroe, Clark Gable, and Steve McQueen in their final completed films, The Misfits, 1961, for both Monroe and Gable, and The Hunter, 1980, respectively. Was almost killed during the train scene in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, 1966. He was asked by Sergio Leone to do the scene again, and he then replied, "I'll never do that again." He has appeared in 3 films that have been selected for the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The Magnificent Seven, 1960, How the West Was Won, 1962, and Girlfriends, 1978. Lee Marvin, starting out in 1952, The Duel at Silver Creek, Hangman's Knot, 1953, Seminole, The Stranger Wore a Gun, Gun Fury, 1954, The Raid, and many more. Marvin's strong presence. It was only a matter of time before he would command the stage. 1981, Death Hunt was his last Western. Turned down the lead role of General George S. Patton in Patton, 1970, because he didn't want to glorify war. Burt Lancaster and he did not get along during the shoot of The Professionals, 1966, due to the fact that Marvin's bottoming out alcoholism was making him unreliable and difficult at the time. Director Richard Brooks felt the need to intervene because he feared Lancaster was going to take Lee Marvin by the arse and throw him off the mountain. Named after Confederate General Robert E. Lee, who was his first cousin, 4 times removed, through the General's grandparents, Henry Lee II and Lucy Grimes. Turned down William Holden's role in The Wild Bunch, 1969, in order to make Paint Your Wagon, for which he had been offered $1 million, plus a percentage of the profits. However, the movie was a notorious failure on release. Was offered the role of Colonel Douglas Mortimer in For a Few Dollars More, 1965, but turned it down to star in Cat Ballou. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate your likes and subscribers. Hit the notification button to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel and check out my Facebook page. The links are in the description. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.
That's all the excuse they'll need.
Interesting facts about famous people.